everyone knows they need AI. No one's a specialist or an expert because it's just out there. And there's huge opportunity to be able to improve these older businesses or even existing businesses to integrate AI.
And I think AI can do that, not obviously just in sales, but in so many different things. It's like, how can we get back to the basics and actually focus on building real relationships and community? Really, let's get back to the fun stuff. So,
Lauren, good to catch up. Good to be connected again.
Yes, I'm excited for today.
Yeah, thanks for jumping on. So I'll give a little bit of a background, and you sort of fill in the blanks to pump your own tires, but I'll set the stage for everyone who's listening. But I'm super excited to join today. So Lauren, you're the co-founder or founder and CEO of Zinnia, which is, from my understanding, one of the fastest growing co-pilots for salespeople, which is amazing. The reason I said I'm really excited to speak is we also both come from sales specific backgrounds, career salespeople, and now have transitioned to the founder world. You're staying more in the sales environment and supporting salespeople and building AI co-pilots to make their lives easier. I've gone a different direction, but always great to speak to people who have that background of transition to founder life, because there's a lot of values from sales that make the job, I wouldn't say easier, but there's skills that transition, but there's a lot of stuff that as salespeople are not exposed to that founders have to learn. So I'm excited to talk about how you've transitioned and the pains that have come with that and everything else that's going on in the AI world.
Yeah, I always joke that I'm a recovering corporate salesperson. So, recovering from corporate, we can bond over that. But.
Yeah, exactly. For better or for worse, there's good things you can pull from it, but I'm sure there's scars as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So I guess going into the founding story, I'd love to, for you, I guess, hear from your side of it, like with Zinnia and how that came to be and how you started and what the vision was. But for anyone listening, I'd love to hear the founding story from you.
Yeah. So just a bit of my background. I spent about a decade in enterprise sales and big tech. So LG, Microsoft, and Salesforce. I had a quick foray into another company. So I left corporate to start a company in the Web3 space. But through that, I met Atlanta Ventures, and Atlanta Ventures has been awesome. They've helped launch Calendly, Sales Loft, Terminus, so a bunch of other go-to-market sales tools. And after my last startup, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do next. And they said, hey, come build something with us. And I knew, just super passionate about the sales space and knowing that I didn't really have work-life balance back when I was a corporate seller. So how can I build something to make every sales rep, B players, how to make everybody an A player while still having that work-life balance and being able to focus more on the human element. So that's kind of the origin behind it. And then we went through the studio at Atlanta Ventures and iterated and tested different ideas until we landed on where we are today.
Yeah, that's awesome. I hear from salespeople, I'm sure you hear this all the time, like every salesperson is like closing these big deals and helping these companies grow. I'm like, I want to start something myself. But salespeople have a little bit of a problem. It's like they know sales really well. They also get paid really well. So it's transitioning from making big, comfortable salaries, especially the big tech companies like Microsoft and Salesforce, to making zero is a really big hurdle. Personally, for me, I had that as a hurdle. But pretty much every salesperson I speak to who says like, yeah, I want to start something, but I got bills to pay, I got things to do, whatever. How did you deal with that transition, or what was your mindset around it?
Yeah, I think for me, I did have kind of a pivotal moment at Salesforce where I had all these goals for myself. I wanted to close the biggest deal. I wanted to make 7 figures of commission. I wanted, all these things that now I look back, I think are kind of silly. They're not silly, but at the time, it was like, this is so important. Now it just feels like that's not what I optimized for. But I hit all those things and then was like, there's got to be more to life than this. Like, I closed the biggest deal of my life playing Candy Crush on my phone virtually. I got to be able to like learn and grow and improve every day. So quitting, I did take 100% pay cut. Now I'm like a 90% pay cut where I was in corporate, but what I am gaining or earning is the learnings and the growth and the connections that I'm able to make through this that I never would have in sales. So
yeah,
I'm young. I was like, I don't really have a lot of financial responsibility now. So why not? If not now, then when?
Yeah, you got to take the chance at it. I know 90% pay cut's still tough to stomach. Yeah, I had a similar situation. It was like making good money, whatever the money was. And the way that I sort of thought it through, and because a different approach was like I said, I got a year window of backstop cash. I had enough money in the bank to go for a year without making a dollar. And I said to myself, I'm giving myself this year window. If I don't make a dollar in a year, I suck and I deserve to go back to being an employee. Like if you can't make a dollar in a year, if you go in and treat it like a job and found something and try to make a business out of it, there's no better sign that entrepreneurship's not for you. But if you can make a buck or 10% or 20% or 200% back your salary, then it's a huge risk to take, but the results are worth it if you put in the effort. But the hardest part in this is to hear from like technical founders is the sale. Like you can go and start something, but if you don't make your first transaction and you don't get money in the door, then you're screwed. Where do you think sales has sort of played in your role of being a founder now? Is it still the core focus for yourself? Is that where you think your main skill is, or have you taken on sort of new hats and focuses when you're running the business?
Yeah. I mean, I think at the end of the day, everything in life is sales. So it's selling.
What a classic salesperson. I say the same thing.
But it's true. It's selling to your investors, right? Like we've raised venture capital and we have investors that I have to sell to them our vision. I have to sell to them where we're going, why we're taking certain directions. I sell to our customers our roadmap. I sell internally to my team why we're building certain features, why this is important, certain things like that. But I mean, for a while, I was the sole founder and it was just myself in the studio at Atlanta Ventures. So that meant that I was learning how to wireframe, teaching myself wireframing before vibe coding tools were really there. So I was watching lots of YouTube videos. How do I do that? How do I lead product? How do I do customer discovery, setting up marketing, sales, operations, payroll, like all of these things. But today it really is, I brought in an awesome CTO who is now my co-founder. He's a rock star. Was able to take some of the technical stuff off, but being a founder, you do wear all hats, including sometimes being the custodian of your own office and things like that. So
it's I truthfully thought it was exciting, like taking on those new tasks, because as you said, like when you're a salesperson, like you're focused on hitting your quotas, you're focused on hitting your numbers. And I don't know, I didn't know what bookkeeping was, or I didn't know how like set up marketing campaigns. I didn't know how to wireframe or anything like that. But I think it's exciting to be able to learn those new things and also figure out what you like and you don't like. Like when I did that, when I started the business, I was running my own QuickBooks, doing my own invoicing and stuff like that. And I realized I absolutely hated it. Like it was so boring. I was like blown away that this is someone's full-time job to do this. And like the second I would ever realize that it just wasn't for me, I just hired a third-party bookkeeping company and they do it for me. And you have to figure out what to offload. But you mentioned something unique, which is now when we both started our businesses wasn't around. Was vibe coding and vibe marketing and these things. Are there any platforms or things that you swear by when it comes to using it? We'll get into your platform yourself and how you're using AI and building these co-pilots for salespeople. But like behind the scenes, when it comes from an operations perspective, like what does your tech stack look like? Like what platforms maybe people haven't heard of that you use all the time?
Ooh, from an AI tooling perspective, I love Lovable. Lovable has been great. And I don't know if you've played with it very much, but, people are like, oh, Lovable is going to replace tech teams completely. I don't think that that's the reality, at least not today. It's not scalable. The code behind it is not necessarily good for integrations or enterprise scale, but I've built some of my own internal tooling with Lovable. But more importantly, what used to take me hours on Figma as a non-product designer that is trying to pretend to design products, it is now saying, I can create an entire design in 5 minutes. And typically what I do is I build my own on Figma and then I work with Lovable and have it give me ideas of what I may be missing from a UI UX perspective and then integrate that into our platform. But it's been a huge part of my workflow.
Yeah, it's unreal. So what are those internals? And I love sharing this with other founders because same thing, like I use Manus as like the core builder that I use internally, and I build custom GPTs is like, so those are sort of the two main platforms that I use. But are there any like internal, what are these internals, your tools? I don't know if you can share a specific example that has sort of made your life a little bit easier that you use.
I actually love that you said custom GPTs because I feel like that's probably the most accessible for people that are.
I feel like a lot of people don't know that or use them. It's so underrated. I think maybe most people just have the free account for ChatGPT and don't pay the 10 or $20 a month. But yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. It's like dummy proof to be able to do them.
Oh my gosh. I mean, one of the big things for us is, we do participate in a lot of conferences. We do a lot of, podcasts, articles, whatever. And a lot of them require a lot of form filling out or paperwork. And that's a huge time suck. And so basically every form is asking similar things. So I built a GPT where I could just upload a form and, here's all of the answers to those in the past. And now it's like, okay, what used to take me 30 minutes, which doesn't feel like that long, but it takes 30 seconds now
Yeah.
with GPT. So it's just things like that. We built a knowledge base internally too with even just coding. We use all the different kind of coding co-pilots as well to make sure that we're moving everything quickly.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it's going so quickly. I don't know if you have the same feeling, but I've signed up for a Lovable account and I used it for like an hour or something, and then I got distracted by something else in my business and gone and done it. And that's I feel like hopefully I'm not the only one who feels this, but I'm pretty overwhelmed with like the amount of platforms out there, and they all seem to specialize in different things. And then the next thing you know, like this is the best platform and another one leapfrogs it. And it's like, oh, you're not using Lovable. Oh, you have to use Perplexity or whatever. And they're all over the place. And I think it can be overwhelming where it's like, you just don't end up using any of them. I think it's good to sort of holster your top platforms, but I don't know if you have the same sentiment about being overwhelmed at the amount of optionality out there. And I guess transition to your business and with Zinnia and how you're sort of working on getting distribution. But is that the same sentiment in the sales world as well? Like, are they overwhelmed with options, or are you sort of one of few in the space? Like, what does it look like?
Oh my goodness. Well, just to kind of like touch on the first thing of being overwhelmed with optionality and everything as a founder, I think that was probably the biggest shock to me going from, big corporate to founder world is like, there's so many things I know I should be doing, right? Like from a marketing perspective, I should be doing a newsletter. I should be doing a campaign. I should be doing Google Ads. But it's like, you can't do everything. So how do you focus on the few things that move the needle and be okay with just focus and knowing that you just can't do it all? But similarly in the sales space, no, it's a super saturated space for sure. There's so many AI sales tools out there and all of them are promising different things. Yeah. And I would say 80%, in my opinion, actually, no, we've done the research. It's over 80% of the AI sales tools are focused on top of funnel. So this is like mass automation, AI BDRs, getting lead lists, all of that type of thing. And I think that's really important for a lot of businesses. We play in a little bit of a different space where we're hyper focused on sales teams with named account lists. So more of that enterprise sale, that high touch, more relational, non-transactional. So that helps us kind of find the right customers to fit for us.
Yeah, for sure. And I would imagine as well, it helps with the ROI justification. If you're working on enterprise accounts or you're selling into SMB sales businesses, like you have to be able to create a huge amount of value, a huge amount of turnover within the company to see value for paying for the tool. But when you're working on enterprise deals, it's like, if this helps me close one more deal a year, it's very easy to justify the line item. No, it's super interesting. And how from your side of it, like I'd love to know from a distribution side of it, like is it old school like cold calling? Are you using these AI BDRs? Like what are you using for distribution and adoption?
We are early stage. So what we've actually been very lucky with this is Zinnia took a couple iterations before we landed on this product and launched this publicly. And I think that's the reality of startup world people don't talk about is it takes a while to find that product market fit. And I would say we haven't nailed it yet, but we're getting there. But that being said, 100% of our business is inbound. We've never sent an outbound sales message. I've never sent an email or a LinkedIn message. It's all been 100% inbound from LinkedIn and then referrals. Wow.
Amazing. Okay. Well, now you have to open up on that. That's the dream, right? Inbound is the dream that everyone's focusing on, especially not paid inbound. Paid inbound's a different story and anyone can do that. But what's the playbook or what's the secret sauce that you found that's worked?
100% of our business comes from LinkedIn today, truly. And I have a lot of theories around this and I could talk all day, but I do think the introduction of mass automation and AI is actually causing people to want to go back towards more of that human connection and that community building versus, let's not be so transactional. There's a huge overcorrection in the market saying like, no, I want to talk to Daniel. I want to have this human to human interaction. And I've always been hyper focused on building community. Even when I was at Microsoft and Salesforce, I ran Women Force at Salesforce and the Women's ERG at Microsoft as well. I think community is wildly important. And so I built my LinkedIn kind of around that. It's like, let's share best practices. Let's share stories. I'm hyper vulnerable and authentic. And through that, I've met a lot of really incredible people that have kind of followed our journey. And then when we had announcement of launching a product, a lot of them were like, I know you, and people buy from people, and I want to support. And then they realized it's really helpful for the business. So
yeah, like founder led content and growth and being authentic. Yeah, I just spoke to in one of the episodes we did recently was with a VC, had his own fund, his own VC firm called Ripple. And we did, like, at the end of it, I said, like, I want to pick your brain, like, what's overrated and underrated right now. We sort of went through a bunch of different topics, and I said founder-led brand, and he's like, undoubtedly underrated. Like, founder-led brand it's not the future, it's the now. Like, it's so important for people to have a voice and a brand recognition. And it's interesting, especially in B2B, it seems to be the newer wave, but in B2C, it's been around forever of like, and you see Kylie Cosmetics and all these big influencers and stuff like that. Like, they're not buying the product, they're buying the association to the person and the brand. And you see this happening very successfully now in a lot of B2B companies. And it takes a long time to build that trust and social proof and connection, but there's nothing more, there's stronger bond than someone to like an actual personality or a referral or anything like that. So kudos for you to having that leverage and doing it. And now, unfortunately, you're on the hamster wheel, right? You got to continue to pump out content, put yourself out there, because if you're not out there, you're not relevant. If you're not relevant, people don't connect with you. So you got to know what game you're signing up for. But yeah, it's great to hear. But it's interesting what you said about the idea of like the super automation, because yeah, now you can just click a button and blast 1,000 people. But I don't know, when was the last time you responded to a cold email or cold call from any of these companies?
I mean, I will say that I try to respond when people put the effort in. And that means it's either hyper personalized, there's a video, or, they did a really good job of matching the product or service to the company. But I delete so many truly hundreds of emails a day. And I don't know if you just saw this, but the new iOS thing on iPhone is now going to start screening your calls for you.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's incredible, because my phone is always on do not disturb because I get so many spam calls, and it's not the reality anymore.
Yeah, exactly. No, it has to evolve. The likely spam was like the best thing that ever happened to Apple. So you know who to snooze, which I snooze every number if I don't have them in my phone book. Exactly. But it's funny. I literally just had this call with a client yesterday. Not to go on like a sidebar, but he is the CEO of this financial firm, and they service like small like trading companies, so stock trading businesses, and they provide the admin service behind the scenes. And he said, like, business is good, but we're really hitting slow growth. Like, we want to hire offshore salespeople. We want to hire 3 salespeople through you guys and help us get out there. And I said to them, like, don't. Like, you're selling to these small, like 1 to 10 businesses. You're trying to speak to CEOs in the finance industry. Like, you are potentially your ICP. When was the last time you responded to a cold email or a cold call? He's like, never. It pisses me off. I said, okay, great. The only way to do sales is you have to take the personal approach, figure out the top 1,000 clients that you want, and build a connection with them. Send them personalized notes, like reach out to them directly, offer whatever, something free to reach out to them and provide value first. And he was pissed at first, but he thought there was going to be like some magic bullet of hiring the superstar SDR to do the work for him. But I think you really have to understand your business and your target audience. And yeah, if you're trying to reach to every restaurant in North America, then you might be able to blast restaurant owners and get some feedback. But if you have a very specific niche or ICP that you're going after, like, personalization is really the only way. And AI is not there yet. Maybe it will be to be able to take that personal approach. But yeah, you have to be human, because as you said, like, humans buy from humans.
I am so glad that you said that, though, because that is, I would say, the number one thing that we ask in our first discovery call when we have people book a demo is, are you looking for a magic bullet?
Oh, really?
Because we have so many people that come to us and it's like, well, when do I start getting leads, or when do we start closing deals? How can you send out these personalized notes to everyone? And we're like, no, we're never going to do that, because our goal is not to add to the noise. Our goal is to help you be more human and build that connection. So if you're looking for a magic bullet, that's just not going to work. That's not us. Yeah,
fair enough. And that's usually the non-sales founders who want that magic bullet and think you send like one cold email, you get one demo, but it doesn't work like that. But the other thing I wanted to go back for a little bit, because I think it's interesting. So you went through, and I guess correct me if I'm wrong, is it like a venture studio where they have you in the program, or it's like they give you seeding, or how does it actually work? But I always think it's interesting when people go the venture route, first of all, but sometimes they go like in-house and they go through some sort of program, or they just go out and start the business themselves. Like, what was that process for you? Because I think other people are considering starting a business might want to understand which route to go.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways to do it, and I would say there's no right or wrong way. My last company, we went the traditional bootstrapping route, and then ended up raising some venture capital as well. But through this, I didn't know what I wanted to do next, but I knew I wanted to build another company, and I just wasn't. I was like, yeah, I need some time to figure out what that looks like. And so Atlanta Ventures, because I had gotten to know them, they are not a traditional studio or accelerator. They've only had maybe 5 companies go through it in the last 10 years. So what they do is they pick a founder that they know and that they like and trust, typically a second-time founder, and say, let's find an idea that we both think there's a really big market for and start testing, doing customer feedback, customer discovery. But they kind of help hedge bets. So they give you a stipend to basically like cover my mortgage.
Yeah.
And allow me to spend 6 months. I called a couple hundred sales leaders and interviewed them.
Yeah.
And, tested, did the right discovery to figure out before ever building a single line of code or any workflow, like, is this something people want? Are they willing to pay for it? How much are they willing to pay for it? And what does it actually look like before I even brought in a single customer?
Yeah, it's I'm so happy you said that, because I speak to like a bunch of friends or people I know are like, oh, I'm thinking about starting this business. Like, what do you think? I'm like, I don't care. Like, have you tried to reach out to potential customers and see what they think? Like, they're like, oh, no, I don't have anything built. I have nothing to sell. I don't have a website. Like, what does that have to do with anything? Like, it's irrelevant. Like, go reach out. I started my business while I was on vacation in Florida with my family in the lobby of my hotel from my Gmail account. Like, I was just like, I think this is a good idea. I'm going to go start doing it. We had a family trip planned, and I didn't even have a website. I didn't have like a professional email. I literally had my Gmail account and started to reach out to people and also on LinkedIn. And you land a couple conversations. And to your point before about pivoting, is like, the iteration of my business now is not what it was when it started. I changed it a few times to figure out what works. But yeah, I don't know why people just like overthink things. I think they're probably scared of rejection is probably what it comes down to. But yeah, you just have to go out there and try to make connections, because an idea is worth nothing until you start getting customers and people willing to pay for it. But I think that's a very sales mentality. And truthfully, like, I was in sales for a decade. Like, when I started my career, I was scared to pick up the phone and cold call and cold email or whatever, because I was scared of rejection. But I think the general public probably has that same fear. But I'm happy you said you just got to go and have the conversations first.
Oh yeah. And I think that that's a big thing too, is I talk to a lot of founders that are like, I don't want to pivot. That means I failed. That means I was wrong. It's like, no, that means you learned, right? It's like, we did our first foray into the business was we were doing corporate offsites, retreats. We did like sales kickoffs in a box or EBCs in a box, and we were actually profitable. We had
that was the first iteration of the business, was like offsite planning.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, we're coming off these tailwinds of remote first work. People are trying to get their teams together in person. Nobody likes planning it. How can we automate this with tech? And we started doing it. Again, just, it was easy to get customers, but I had a team that was doing event planning. We were trying to build tech around it. And it was like, it's not a scalable business. I'm here to build $1 billion company, not a lifestyle business. So how do we kind of, use that? So we started pulling executive profiles. Okay, Daniel is going to be at this event. Here's how to talk to him. Here's what might be important to him, alongside maybe a customer facing event. And that's where people were like, hey, we actually just want this data about everybody, not just the prospects at the event. And we're like, now this is
super interesting. That's awesome. And that's like, takes way more guts, because you already had a business and clients and profitable. But was that like the tipping point of like, hey, this works, but it's not scratching my itch of like, I want to grow like a big VC $1 billion company? Or what do you think that trigger point or tipping point was for you?
Yeah, I mean, we were trying to build tech around it. And there was actually about 9 competitors that popped up after we launched that kind of iteration of the company. And we were like, okay, so there's a lot of people doing this. But what we saw was everybody was pivoting towards a marketplace, because it's so hard to automate the nuance of events. And I was like, I've never wanted to be a two-sided marketplace. That's not where my heart sits. I really want to be in software. And what I care most about is the sales part of this and revenue driving part of this. So
Marketplace is not a fun sale. It's like self-serve and hand holding. If it's not self-serve, it's hand holding. It's not fun.
no. But the biggest tipping point was truly like, I paused to say, okay, I've got a team running these events. I'm going to start selling dossiers or like PDFs of who's Daniel, who's Lauren for $10 each. And I went to our current customers and was like, if you give me a list of your prospects, I'll sell you these for $10 each. And they were like, okay. And bought a lot of them. And I was like, oh, okay. I do have something here.
Yeah.
And that's where I brought in my CTO. Say like, let's automate this and let's build this.
That's crazy. There's like all these famous stories of different companies that had the same thing of like an indirect product or feature or like an internal tool. I think that's how Slack started. It was like a gaming company and their internal messaging tool was like what had crazy adoption, and the gaming company was going poof. And there was like, okay, let's just start selling this internal messaging tool. And next thing it turned into Slack. So yeah, it's interesting to see you can have those sort of light bulb moments indirectly and obviously work out. But either way, it's hard to walk away from a business that you've put a lot of work in to build out. But it sounds like you made the right choice to sort of scratch your personal itch. And I guess that you touched base on one thing as well, which seems to be like a common, I guess, versus situation of like lifestyle business compared to billion-dollar outcome and exit. Why did you choose the path that you did or the game that you're in now? Like, what is it, a personal sort of vendetta of like you got to prove yourself and go public or get acquired, or like what do you think made you go that route? Because I'm the other route. I'm lifestyle business as well, and I'll tell you my thought process around that as well. But I'd love to hear your side.
Yeah, I think that my heart sits with either side. And I think my next company, I don't think I'll ever not work or build, will probably be more on the lifestyle side. But I did want to build something that was super impactful and reached a lot of people. That was really important to me. But all of that being said, as soon as you take venture capital dollars, you are on the road to building billion-dollar company. It's, your investors are not going to be happy with a lifestyle business. So that was really, truly, what I was like, I have to have a return for my investors who took a chance on me and I dearly love. And so I have to do the right by them and build this the way.
Yeah, so true. And I think that has to be said more often because a lot of people don't understand that. Because they see the headlines on TechCrunch or whatever of like, raise $5 million, raise $10 million, raise $2 million, whatever. It's like the second you do that raise, like your investors are expecting you to become a billion-dollar company. And that's like and nowadays it's actually like they want you to become like a 10 or 20 or $100 billion company with like the evolution of AI and the optimization there. Like the messaging behind that shouldn't just be raised. And I think a lot of people, or at least founders, I spoke to another founder that I know, they raised a series seed and then they're like, oh yeah, 2 years later, like we're on our A. And I'm like, is that a good thing, bad thing? Like, what does that mean? Like, why'd you burn your cash so fast? Like, he's like, so it's interesting how people like put these in buckets, but yeah, you have to know what game you're playing. And with the second you raise money, you are on the long game to go big. And it's go big or go home, but also your investors, that's what they want. They don't want you to go small. They don't want a $10 million exit. They want 100, 200, a billion, which is super exciting. And the risk reward comes with that. So I got faith. I have faith you'll make it work, but it's a lot of pressure. And so on my side of it, just to give you my thought process is like, when you start a business, I was like, do I go with VC route, $1 billion, do I go lifestyle? And I was in the VC world for over a decade, and I had a couple companies that went well, one at $500 million valuation, the other one got acquired by Yelp. And then I had a couple companies I worked for that went to zeros and went poof. And for me at this stage in my life, I'm like, I need to grow a cash flowing business that can pay for my lifestyle. And I need money now. I don't have the ability or freedom to go and wait it out and ride that lottery ticket. It would be nice and exhilarating and it's super exciting because that's what my background was. But I think at the point of my life, it was like, I need to run a cash flowing business. And the other side of it, which I think is also not mentioned as frequently as it should, is like the second you raise money, you just got a boss and you have to report to your board and you have to report to your investors. And I'm like, I want to do my own thing on my own terms. I don't want to run anything by anyone because I had some good and not so good situations reporting to VCs. But yeah, I think it's really important to understand the rules of the game and understand which game you're signing up for, because you're going to do it for the next 3, 4, 5, 10 years, however long it's going to be.
Yeah, it's so funny. Somebody the other day asked if I could go on this trip and I was like, nah, I've got work stuff I can't. And they're like, yeah, but you're your own boss. And I was like, no, I'm not. A bunch of VCs that are my boss. So
yeah, it's very self-aware of you, because people like, there's a lot of titling out there, and CEO, founder, whatever. People think you're your own boss and you can do whatever you want. And at the end of the day, there's some legitimacy to that, but there's also the other side of it, what you have to report to people and do right by your investors and your employees.
Oh yeah, I'm optimizing shareholder value, right? That's my job and my goal. So
there you go.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So I always like to ask founders this as well, because I don't know about you, but I have like a notes folder on my phone just with like different business ideas. Like once you're a founder, or at least when you're starting to become a founder, like I was just thinking about constant business ideas all over the place. I don't know, you're the same way, but I love to ask other founders of like, obviously you're heads down enterprise sales, like trying to create this optimization and AI copilot for that world. But I'm sure you speak to other founders all the time, and there's so many problems to be solved. Are there any other areas of business or other tools out there that you sort of see a gap in that you wish would be out there, or something to support you with, or any other businesses that you wish you had quadruple the amount of time to go and start?
Oh my gosh, I am the same way. I have a notes app on my phone, and I'm always coming up with different ideas and thoughts, and or companies that are out there today that are just maybe a little archaic. It could be doing things.
That's truthfully where the biggest opportunity is, because it's proven that it works, but you just have to do it better. And truthfully, most of the time, just like better UI and UX is really what the solution is.
Oh, truly, truly. I mean, especially from a technical perspective, I love technical tools. Right now, obviously, our users are salespeople. I think the next company I work on will probably be more focused on developers and like, how can we make them more efficient? But right now, one of the most frustrating things is that integrating into CRMs, you have to build all different integrations. So if there was something like was it called Xamarin back in the day, where you could do iOS and, Android and whatever, building just one time. If you could build one thing for every CRM, I think that's like a huge gap. So if there's anybody out there building that, please call me. We need this today.
Yeah, it's so true. And you have to use custom builds every single time with different APIs and different tooling, and they always break, and you got to sort of QA them all the time. It is really broken down. But yeah, you think there's got to be a way to make it more efficient, just like plug and play APIs. So I just had this as well. Like I'm always tinkering and building other things. Like I built a website and a small app into a website recently, and I used Manus to do it. And I don't know how to code at all, but it would tell me the steps to do it. And a couple of them were like, I needed to set up like API keys to Google Sheets and things like that and move around. I'm like, I don't know how people did this. And the amount of errors I got, like Manus was telling me literally exactly what to do step by step, and it was still error. I think it took me like 35 tries to do it. But that's the simplest integration. It was like from WordPress to Google Sheets. Like I couldn't imagine when you have to do it to Salesforce or HubSpot or whatever the different platforms people are using. But yeah, it seems like a no-brainer, a massive opportunity, because every business needs it.
Okay, but what about you? What ones are on your list?
So it's interesting. If I look at my list and had them like date stamped, early on, there were like all tech ideas. I'm like, how do I build the software or do this? And truthfully, we're mostly like sales related. And I was in restaurant tech for a long time. The current one that sort of stuck with me now I'm in the services world is something that I'm hearing from founders all the time. And it's AI related. It's like the media in the world is saying AI is the future. You need to learn how to do it. You have to use it in the business. And the one thing that I think is the most common response is like, where do I use it? Or how do I use it? Like, no, there's so many applications, and it's really hard to understand for business owners, whether you're like a retail business owner or a software owner, of like, what do I do? Like, where do I even start? How do I even know what needs to be automated or what task needs to be done? So I think there's actually a huge opportunity in AI consulting and custom building. Of like, hey, we're your third party, just the same idea of like dev shops of like, hey, you can hire a dev or you can hire our dev shop and we'll build things for you. It's like, hey, you can go and figure out how every single platform works, but we'll be your third party AI consultant. We'll do a full audit on your business and figure out where we can save you money, make you money, or save you time. And then we build custom AI integrations. And I think there's this huge opportunity and window, and eventually maybe AI will get good enough or everyone will have AI people on their staff. But I think there's this window of time right now where everyone knows they need AI. no one's a specialist or an expert because it's just out there. And there's huge opportunity to be able to improve these older businesses or even existing businesses to integrate AI. And people are willing to pay for it if it's sort of a turnkey solution. So I think there's a huge opportunity as like AI consulting, either as like project-based work or retainer-based work, but no VC money, no bosses, just like get a client, make money and rinse and repeat and do it all over again.
It's so interesting you say that. I feel like actually a lot of our customers that are inbound are coming to us saying, hey, we, from the board, from corporate, whatever it may be, the size of the company, we're given $1 million budget to spend on using AI in sales. You're an AI sales tool, so we can pay for this with you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's the initiative say? What are the goals? And there's no goals. There's no parameters. They're just like, we know we should be using AI, figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
And that's not abnormal. That we've heard that probably 5 or 6 times just this month from customers coming to us. So
yeah, and that's the interesting thing is like everyone going to the point of the question of like everyone knows they need to use AI, but no one knows how to use it or where to start. And truthfully, that's the hardest part. It's like I didn't know where to use AI in my business until I'm operating my day-to-day business. I'm like, oh, maybe this could be automated or maybe this can be improved, and you go and do it. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, there's this huge question mark of like AI is great. How do I use it? And you have to like get inspiration from other people. And I'll tell like a little side story because I actually heard this on a podcast. Someone was talking about using AI with their kids, and it never even like crossed my mind to do anything with them because I like want to keep them away from technology. But the other day, like I just couldn't get them, settled down. And I used ChatGPT voice, and it ran a trivia game for my 2 kids, and it customized the questions to what they like, one Paw Patrol, Barbie, whatever it was. And they loved it. The AI called it by its name. They gave points. There was a winner. There was a loser. Like it was just like all these unique, and I would have never had the creativity of like say, hey, ChatGPT, like run a trivia game for my kids. But I heard about it and got inspired and did it. But I think there's a lot of learning from exposure because the solutions and the integrations are really endless.
it really is. It is. I mean, I use ChatGPT every single day.
Yeah.
Every single day in personal life and, grocery lists or directions or ideas for planning trips or like literally everything.
Yeah. So. I know, it's crazy. The last thing I just sort of want to end off on, because I think there's like 2 camps right now with AI, and I have a feeling I know which one that you sit in. Is like either the pessimists think like the world's going to burn because AI is going to take all of our jobs and we'll all become irrelevant, or it's the optimists who are like, hey, this is the future. Like this is going to make everyone better, make all of our lives better, and we have to embrace it. Obviously, you're in the embrace bucket, but I guess what would be your pitch or what would be your position to people who are on the pessimistic side of AI and like, I don't want to use this, it's going to take my job. Like we're all screwed in the future.
Yeah. I mean, everyone says this every time there's an industrial revolution, right? When we had factories for the first time, people were freaking out that we're getting rid of skilled labor, right? We're getting rid of people using their hands, and we're going to forget how to do that. And we're going to rely on machines. And the reality is we've just been able to have advancements in technology with healthcare, with the way people live, with infrastructure, all of these things. So the thing I always lean on is how can we use AI for good? And our entire ethos is that people buy from people. And so we don't think that we should eliminate the human interaction. We should eliminate the busy work that allows you to actually get to the core of what's important to people. And, kind of leaning in, removing the barriers. And I think AI can do that, not obviously just in sales, but in so many different things. It's like, how can we get back to the basics and actually focus on building real relationships and community? Yeah.
That was, better said than I would have said it. It was very heartfelt and real. And you're right. It's humans to humans, and humans will always be relevant when it comes to life and business, and will become more relevant and more connected if the other busy work is taken care of for you.
Absolutely. Let's get back to the fun stuff.
So. There you go. I like that. We'll finish up there. I appreciate the chat, and yeah, it's inspiring to hear people who are like living, breathing this sort of AI revolution day in, day out. And always good to chat with fellow sales to converted to founder life, for better or for worse. We're in it together. So I appreciate you jumping on, and yeah, I think people are going to get a lot of this conversation.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me, and welcome to the dark side. For anybody here, right?
Appreciate it, Lauren. We'll speak soon.
Thanks.